It's recording there, and I'm also going to record this on my computer. And that looks like it's recording. All right, guys.
Hey, nice. We did it. Look at us.
Look at us. Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
In a quarantine like this.
Nobody. Is it like a 1920s, like, in a quarantine like this?
Quarantine like this? Who would have thought we would be recording?
In all the quarantines in all the land, you had to come into this one.
We got to get our radio voices out for the people in the airwaves.
I can see all the families around their radio set just...
Everyone gather around and, warm yourselves up next to the radio waves.
They got the human remote control, which is just like a little 4-year-old. Go change the channel on my stories.
Oh, I don't want to.
Don't forget to hit it. It's not working right.
Like that long swipe that hits the side. Oh, man. You want to start us off, Andy, by doing the intros?
Oh, okay. I don't know why every time you say you want to start us off, I feel like you're going to tell me, you want to start us off with a prayer, buddy?
You want to thank the Lord for this time?
Hey, everybody. You don't have to thank the Lord because we're back. All right? And we'd like to welcome you in to another conversation that we were going to have anyway. All right?
This one looks a little different. This one's a little different.
We're a little different. You can see our faces. And we're being recorded not only for your visual pleasures, but for your what is that?
No, keep going. Not only
for your pleasures, as well.
for the earlobe pleasures. There, yeah, you gotta love
it. And hey, we're just a few Hispanic dudes. I'm bringing you information about movies from the past, present, and future. Maybe from the future. Maybe we're in the future. You don't know.
Yeah.
This quarantine's got me all jacked up.
Yeah, I don't know
when I am.
Yeah, what day it is. I don't even know. It's very difficult. Sleep schedule's completely off.
But I'll tell you what, no matter what period of time we're in, we're going to bring you a conversation we would have anyways.
Love it.
Hey, full circle.
Man.
Full circle. I love it.
They don't pay me the big bucks for nothing. All right. To my right. And are you to my right on your screen? I don't know.
I'm pointing at Joel. I'm pointing at Joel.
On my screen. You're there. And, why don't you go introduce yourself, bud?
Me?
There's a man with no introduction.
Hey, I'm right.
No introduction is needed.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give one anyways.
Yeah.
His name is on the bottom of his left-hand side. It's Isaac.
It's me. No hair. Got rid of it. We're here. We finally found a way to do this, and you know who I am. Andy also, but we got a special guest this time with us. Andy, you know him. You don't know him, but you're gonna know him. You're gonna love him.
You're gonna love all his hot topics.
Yeah, all his hot topics shirts, all his hot just stuff that he's got. He's just dishing it out, and it's all hot. It's Joel, everybody. He's our buddy Joel.
What's up, guys?
From
I'd clap, but I'm holding.
He's holding his phone.
My phone.
You're holding it up in the air?
No. I got a whole production going on right now. I got an iPad in front of me. I've got the headphones, of course. But what you can't see is that I have a selfie stick that I'm holding. And positioning my phone in a way that's flattering to my face.
Oh, okay.
I was wondering how you had it up there.
Man, he's got a really long arm. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Go
it's
gadget
actually
arm.
My telekinetic powers here.
Yes, very much so.
Put to use.
We buried the lead here. Our buddy Joel from Oklahoma is here with us, and he's going to join us on today's podcast. We're going virtual. We're doing it a little different this time because we're all in quarantine. We haven't been able to really go out. So, me and Andy have been kind of thinking, like, how would we do a podcast? And then we jumped on a quick Zoom session the other day, and we figured out that, hey, we have the technology here. Let's just try it. So we're going to go ahead and do it. And you want to tell us about what
honestly, real quick, hold on. This may be something that we continue in the future. I mean, because that's the big part of it as to why we're not consistent is going back and forth, figuring out who we're gonna record, whose house we're gonna record at.
We don't live close to each other.
We don't live close to each other, so this is possibly a solution to that in the future. So
you get more gas. I mean, it could work. This could work.
Yeah.
It could totally work. So, what are we doing today, Andy? You want to go over kind of what we're going to be doing today?
Oh, okay, absolutely. We're gonna go over what we've been binging within this quarantine. What we're doing, what we're watching, our opinions on what we're watching, what we want to watch. We're also gonna go over some quick hits. Everybody loves the quick hits. I'm not doing the song though. All right.
Oh, you have to do the song.
I can't do the song.
He doesn't want to do it.
That's part of my contract now.
Yeah, he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't. I'll just splice it in. I'll go from another episode, and I'll get.
Why am I even here? I came for the song.
He's gonna put a picture of myself with my lips moving, and it's gonna be him singing.
Yeah, we'll just do it. We'll edit it in. We'll do it in post. We'll do it in post.
Make sure to get the mustache too.
Absolutely. Oh, this mustache is glorious, guys.
It's so good. That mustache is so good.
I don't want to brag, but this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. It's very sad.
Okay.
My life is very uneventful.
No,
but
what I like about your mustache, is that it comes down, but it's also, it looks like, and I don't know, maybe I'm putting words in the mustache's mouth here, or I don't know, but it looks like it can be curled up. Can it be curled up?
It is getting linked to where that is a possibility. That's where I'm going to be heading out to.
That's how we like. That's how we like our mustaches, full of options. Little curl up, for the meeting. Monocle, curl up.
I can see a Mario look to you, kind of just.
It's me, Mario.
And then Jake is Luigi.
No, let's get it straight. I'm the younger brother here. I'm always the Luigi.
No. You're Mario. He's Luigi because he's taller. Isn't he taller than you?
Barely.
Yeah, he's taller. Barely. He's Luigi.
There's a good meme that I saw the other day where it was Luigi and Mario with their mom. And it's Luigi saying, "Mama, how come you never call me by my name?" And the mom goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, Green Mario." That was a good one. Anyways, back to what we're going to be talking about.
Back to that.
We're also going to talk about, we're going to wrap everything up with a quick Batman segment because we love Batman. That's part of the reason why we have our expert here. There?
Yeah, I don't know.
That way?
He's over here on my side. He's over here, so I'm pointing this way.
As you guys say, I'm not an expert. I'm just a fan like you guys, so we'll try our best.
These are specialists.
Yeah. Joel has brought us in on so much Batman within the last, I don't know, it was like 2 days. He kind of said, "This is what you need to watch." So we did. We watched some things under Joel's direction, and we've got some really good opinions on maybe what can be coming up on the Matt Reeves Batman, and we've got some news on that today too. So let's start off, Andy, with what we're binge watching. Quarantine's happening. We're all kind of finding new things, what our new normal is. Some of us are working from home. Some of us have to be in the building. I get the pleasure of working from home, which is pretty great. Not everybody does, but hey, whatever, we're all kind of dealing with quarantine. And so we have all this time to actually kind of catch up on shows that we wanted to watch. Maybe we got some other things. Andy, I'll throw it to you first. What have you been binge watching during quarantine?
Well, I haven't been binge watching necessarily because, as you know, maybe our listeners don't know, but I'm not that big of a fan of TV shows. I'm more of a movie guy. So the other day I compiled the list on Hulu and Netflix of all the different things that I've been wanting to watch and I haven't had a chance to. But as a creature of habit, I've failed to do all of it. And I've just been watching a few shows here. I'll get into the first one. The first one that I've been watching is a new show by the director and creator of Blackish and Mixish or Mixedish.
Yeah.
There's another show that he did to Grownish, or I think he did that one too. This one's called Black AF on Netflix, and it's got Rashida Jones. It's got him as the dad. Rashida Jones plays his wife. They have 3 girls and 2 boys, and it's pretty much just them them like a mockumentary style, just living their lives. And the reason it's mockumentary is because the daughter was asked to do like a special project, like an essay about her family. And since the dad doesn't like to do anything half butt, he like put all his money towards, because that's the thing, he also is playing himself. Like he's playing himself as director with money and all this other stuff.
Gotcha.
So he gave his daughter like all the equipment she needed to do like a documentary over there for her essay. And so pretty much I'm 2 episodes in, and it's pretty funny. I enjoy it quite a bit. It's good to see Rashida Jones again too. Man, I loved her in Parks and Rec.
I was about to say, wasn't she in Parks and Rec?
She was in Parks and Rec.
She played the beautiful Ann Perkins.
She was also in The Office. Right. Also in The Office.
Oh, that is right. That is right.
What was her name?
Karen Filippelli.
There we go. I'm not an Office guy. I think Parks and Rec was better.
Oh man.
Just a humble opinion of mine.
What else you been watching?
Yeah. It's funny that I bring up Parks and Rec though, because I finished my second round of Parks and Rec. I actually started watching Parks and Rec because of Isaac.
Right here.
Oh,
yeah, he was he bugged. Well, all right, hold on. I want to give credit where there's credit due, because other people were trying to get me to watch it too. Javi tried to get me to watch it for years, and I don't think I ever budged. But you're the one that kept picking at it.
I wore him down.
You wore me down. I was like, all right, I'll watch it.
Just like I do with the ladies. Wear them down.
I liked it a lot.
So who's your favorite character? So many?
There's so many. That's why. All right, top 3.
For me, Andy, Ron, and give me John Ralphio. And I love Andy's hilarious. Ron is hilarious, but anytime John Ralphio is on, I thoroughly enjoy John Ralphio in every scene he's got. But Andy, who you got?
I think my favorite characters are Chris Traeger.
So positive. He's so positive.
Ron Swanson and Andy Dwyer.
We love Andy. We love Andy.
I have to love myself.
You gotta love yourself.
He's a fan favorite.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I watched a couple of movies. First movie that I watched was a movie with comedian. Her name has escaped me. What's her name? Allison
Baumgartner.
No, that's Madison, and he's a pitcher for the San Francisco Giants. I don't know. She's a comedian. She's an Asian comedian. Always Be My Maybe.
Oh, I just got around to watching that movie. That's actually a really funny movie.
It's super cute too.
Yeah, it's got
super duper cute.
Also, Jim from The Office.
It's a chick flick.
Yeah, it's a chick flick.
You could say it's a chick flick,
but it's good. It's actually it's a comedy. It's good.
I can get away with it because I have a mustache. And then I also watched a movie called Futile and Stupid Gestures about it's pretty much like an autobiography. Hold on. Whenever it's not an autobiography, because that means that you made a biography about yourself. So somebody else made a biographical picture about him. And it's a funny movie. It's I don't recommend that you watch it. All right. It's funny though.
Don't watch it. Don't watch it.
On my recommendation. If you watch it, you're watching it because you wanted to watch it, not because I told you. All right. I want to make that very, very clear. All right. I did not force you to watch anything.
Nope.
I'll blame Isaac.
There we
go.
What
did I do?
Better. You didn't stop him.
I did not stop him at all.
But that's about it. I don't really have much else.
Okay, so for me, what I've been kind of getting into was obviously I watched Tiger King. Watched all of Tiger King. The craziness of that story is just beyond crazy. It's just absolutely beyond crazy. The memes that are coming out of that are hilarious. The Carol Baskins meme. Carol Baskins.
So you think she killed her husband?
Yeah, she totally killed her husband. Probably, I don't know. The other thing I watched was there was a show back in the day. There was a show called Iron Chef, and essentially what it was like, hey, these people were competing, and then they would battle the Iron Chef to see who was great. And this was a Japanese show. And in this Japanese show, there was this guy who was like really thin, really fit, bald. And he'd start off and he'd grab an onion and he'd bite the onion and then he'd throw it. And then he'd like,
oh my God,
the games are starting now. Like, let's go. And I always thought that was hilarious. So I'm going through Netflix and I see that this thing called Wu Assassin. I'm like, oh, all right, whatever. And then I see that guy and I'm like, oh, it's the guy from the thing. So I watched it and I was like, I got like 3 episodes in. I'm like, no, this is just watch just eat the onion, buddy.
You're like, where's the onion in there?
Yeah. The whole time I'm like, do the onion bit. Do the thing where you bite the onion.
Is this guy ever going to bring out the onion? Where's the onion?
Exactly. Another thing that I've been watching is I've actually started watching Scrubs because
Zach Braff.
Right, Zach Braff and Donald Faison. So the reason why I kind of wanted to watch it was because The Office Ladies is another podcast that I've been listening to, and they're watching every episode of The Office and kind of doing their backstory. Well, Scrubs is doing the same thing. Zach Braff and Donald Faison, they're doing a rewatch and kind of going through episode. And it's very rare that a show kind of hits the ground running. Very, very few shows. Like The Office was not a show that hit the ground running. It like season 2 is when it really started to figure out who it was. Parks and Rec, same thing. Like by season 2 or 3, Parks and Rec really like, this is who we are and now we're hilarious. I maybe New Girl was maybe a show that automatically hilarious. Friends, automatically hilarious. They knew what it was. I'm gonna say that Scrubs was on that level, where as soon as Scrubs started, like it was very, 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 very funny. And so I'm starting to rewatch it just so I can listen to the podcast and just kind of hear what Zach Braff and him say and Donald Faison say. But one of the things I really like about Scrubs, and this is something that is all Zach Braff is so good at making soundtracks. Like his choice of music selection is always kind of different, and it's always so good. So you'll hear a song in there, and you're like, man, that's a really good song. Like, where did that come from? And that's like Zach Braff being like, hey, you gotta play this song during this. This is a really emotional part, and it's very, 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 very good. So, if you have a chance, it's on Hulu. So that's what I would watch. Joel, what are you watching during quarantine, man?
Everything. Well, not everything. I just finished the Avengers on Disney Plus, this one is like a Japanese anime kind of thing. I think they started this one a while back, and it's super cheesy. And I tell everybody this, it's super cheesy, but the graphics are just so awesome. Like, you just have to watch it just because it looks awesome. And so I just finished the whole thing, and it's like Avengers tutoring young Avengers.
Is it like a series or a movie?
Oh, it's a series.
Okay.
I think it has like 2 seasons, maybe.
Okay, now something I'm curious about is I love the DC animated movies that come out. All of them. They're all great. How does it hang? How does it compare?
Graphics are way better.
Graphics are way better because the ones in the DC animated, I mean, that's kind of like an anime style as well. Yeah. Like they started doing that maybe most recently with the Justice League War movie, maybe.
Right. They're pretty cool, but like in anime shows, they just go over the top sometimes.
Oh,
but it's cool in a way. Okay. And so that's what they did with this series, and it's cool to see like your normal Avengers kind of in that same spotlight, and that it's just a different take to them, kind of. It's pretty cool, but it is cheesy. So if you watch it, just stick.
What else you watching?
Hey, we love cheese. All right, we love it.
Dude.
Put more cheese on it. We love it.
Yeah.
Give me all the cheese.
And so I'm pretty sure you guys have seen the new season of Star Wars, the Clone Wars, right?
No.
Or kind of watching it?
No. I made it a point to start over the Clone Wars, and then life happened, and then I'm on like season 3. So I need to catch up. Yeah. But So here's the reason why. When I was watching the new Star Wars movie, I watched a 20-minute recap about everything that was happening in the Star Wars universe to get us to that point where the Star Wars movie was at. And they included all of what happened in the Clone Wars in that snippet. So everything is ruined for me. So I know what happens, but it was kind of a thing that once I saw that, I was like, man, no.
Like that one time I watched a recap of that one show that will go unnamed and only watched the last season.
Yes. And had hot opinions of her and her fictional dragons.
I'm interested. What show is this? You can't kick me out of it.
Oh man, we'll bleep it out.
We'll get you off mic. We'll fill you in off mic.
All right, sounds good. But other than that, let's see what else. Marvel's Avengers Assemble. It's kind of like their new remake of. They're trying to connect it to the movies that are coming out now with the Marvel universe. So that's pretty cool. And pretty much Marvel movies, DC movies. I'm a big nerd, so you name it, I'm watching.
You're in. That's cool, man.
And then so obviously The Office. I watch that just sometimes to put on the background. But yeah, man, that's what I've been watching.
It's funny how that works though, because I've got that same thing. Like if I'm just gonna put something on just to put something on, I'll definitely put The Office. I'll switch. I'll go Office, Parks and Rec. Those are the interchangeable for me. Whatever I'm just let's put them in, and then that's it. I can watch any show of those at any time.
And if you're doing something, you're like listening to it, and you can fill in the lines, like whatever you're saying.
Mine used to be, or my go-to used to be How I Met Your Mother. I'd put that on the background if I were just doing something. Just I need some background noise or whatever. But now it's either How I Met Your Mother or Parks and Rec or Rick and Morty.
Yeah, definitely the same. I tried watching How I Met Your Mother the other day, and it was still funny, but there are some shows that maybe don't translate well in the course of time. And I kind of have a feeling that How I Met Your Mother is going to be one of those shows where it was great for the time, but then as years progress, like maybe it doesn't age well. Like maybe in 10 years, it's going to be like, man, this is a really weird show. But I don't know. I mean, it's still funny. Let's move on though. Let's go ahead and get into quick hits. So for those of you that don't know what quick hits are, what we're going to do is we're going to read a headline and then just kind of give our thoughts on it. A couple. We say quick hits and then they end up being like intermediate hits and then being long hits. So we're just going to give our thoughts on it real quick. We're going to try to get through it real quick. So the first one, Andy and Joel, San Diego Comic-Con has been canceled because of because of COVID.
No.
It's kaput.
COVID,
it's gone.
Dude.
Man, COVID, dude.
It's gone too far.
Man.
It's gone way too far. All right? You're going to take away my San Diego Comic-Con? Are you kidding me?
What was sad?
I was gonna go dressed up as Harley Quinn this year. And now I can't.
Now you can't.
Thanks.
No.
Thanks a lot, Obama.
Thanks, Obama. No, I was actually debating on whether or not I wanted to go to Comic-Con this year. Obviously, this was like months back, but I was like, yeah, I've never been. Let's go to San Diego. If flights are cheap, let's go.
Didn't we talk about it briefly?
Yes, we talked about it, Joel. And then you were like, "No, let's I got other plans for vacations this year." And I was like, "Yeah, me too," because I was supposed to go to Japan. And shout out to my buddy in Japan. And I was like, "Dude, yeah, let's go." And nothing. So this whole year has been thrown out of whack.
It sucked.
For travel.
Can't do anything.
So much.
Can't do anything.
I know. So. In other news, James Gunn has revealed that someone is going to die in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and he has no plans for a Guardians of the Galaxy 4. How do we feel about that?
I think... hold on. Are you asking me how I feel about somebody dying in the next movie? Or are you asking me how I feel or who I think is going to die?
You can answer that however you want. I have an idea who's going to die.
Ooh, okay. Well, I mean, I don't like to see characters leave the universe, but I mean, it's inevitable. People get older. People either want more money in the contract, or they're just tired of the role. I mean, these are real people or real actors that are just like everybody else. You're gonna get sick of something if you keep doing it over a long period of time. I'm pretty sure, like, everybody wants Robert Downey Jr. to come back and do some sort of Iron Man role, maybe whether it be like an AI or like a flashback or something. But I mean, he's done with it, man. He's done 10 years of the character, and sometimes you just got to move on.
So what you're saying is that the Guardians of the Galaxy they're like one person's done and they're killing them off? You don't think this is story related?
No. I think they'll find other people to bring into the Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, if it's like because who are your big players? Peter Quill, which is Chris
Star-Lord.
Pratt. You got Star-Lord. You got Gamora, played by Zoe Saldana. You got Groot, Drax, and Rocket. For him to mention that somebody's going to die, he's not necessarily saying it's going to be one of the main characters. It could be just a side character.
No, he definitely implied it was I was thinking of it as he implied it was a Guardian of the Galaxy, which, I mean, Mantis is considered a Guardian of the Galaxy, which I thought, hey, she's the first one to go. Sorry, Mantis. Yeah. Your power sucks.
I think it'll be Drax, because I feel like Dave Bautista is done with being in the Marvel cinematic universe. I think he wants to explore other things because he's not a bad actor. Like I've seen him in other movies like Blade Runner 2042 or whatever it was, and he was in like Hotel Artemis. He was in that Stuber movie, and he's a good actor. He's not bad.
Wasn't he in 007 too? One of those.
Yeah, he was in 007.
He was. I'll agree.
So I mean, he's not only just the muscle, but he's also has some pretty good acting abilities, better than John Cena.
What do you think, Joel?
Man, I don't know if it'll be somebody impactful, but if it would be somebody in the core, I think it would be Rocket Raccoon, because he has like everybody's heart, and if he wants everybody to kind of feel for the movie, they might go to the heart. My opinion, because
it can't be Groot. You already did that in part 1, and that little guy grew back. So Groot's not it. I can see Rocket. If you really wanted to tug at your heartstrings, there you lost Gamora, and then what was her sister's name?
Nebula.
What if Nebula died? Like Nebula killed herself in Endgame. What if we lost her too? I don't know. All right, let's move on. J.J. Abrams will be he is in charge of making Justice League Dark. He's also going to be in charge of making a Shining TV show on HBO Max. Now, J.J. Abrams restarted Star Trek. He's also been in charge of Star Wars, and now he's venturing into Justice League Dark. I mean, I don't know much about Justice League Dark, but how do we feel about J.J. Abrams handling that?
It's pretty much the Justice League Dark is pretty much just your superheroes that have mystical abilities, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
Like the magicians and whatnot, the sorcerers,
like Job from Arrested Development.
Yeah. What was the song that he would always come out to?
It's the final countdown.
Yeah.
And then he's like prancing around.
Pretty much. That's what Justice League Dark is going to be. But I mean, yeah. I feel like they could have done some other show. I know they're going to do like a Green Lantern Corps show, which is pretty good. And then the I don't know if they're going to go Hal Jordan or John Stewart, but whatever Green Lantern they do, they're going to incorporate him in the movies as well, right, from what I've heard.
Well, I mean, and J.J. Abrams, though, I mean, do we feel comfortable with J.J. Abrams?
Yeah, I mean,
I personally really like J.J. Abrams. Almost everything that guy does, I really enjoy. Some people hate him. Like, what he did to the Star Wars universe, they hate him. All the fanboys of what he did to the Star Trek universe, they absolutely hate him. So, I don't know. I'm okay with it. I don't know.
I don't think it was his fault necessarily what happened with Star Wars. I think what happened with Star Wars is pretty much Disney had a new toy and they were like, let's get some movies out ASAP.
Let's do it.
Let's start making money.
And they did.
Never had a direction.
And they did.
And they did. But then
so
they just didn't
money.
know what the heck they were doing. They were just like,
no, they didn't.
Figure something out.
Right,
Come up with your own story. That's how you get Last Jedi.
And that.
Yeah.
He's got a point. All right, let's move on. So with quarantine happening, people are staying home. Movies are no longer being filmed right now. All production is stopped on a lot of things. So we've got new tentative dates. So I'll just kind of read them all, and then we'll kind of talk about it. Batman has moved to October 2021. The Flash has moved to June the 3rd, 2022. Shazam Part 2 has moved to November 4th, 2022. Wonder Woman has moved to August 14th, I believe, of this year. We've got Suicide Squad Part 2 moving to August 6th, 2021. Black Adam, which I completely forgot about, with The Rock, is going to be coming in December 22nd, 2021. Aquaman Part 2 is going to be coming December 16th, 2022. So now we're looking at really the only thing coming in this year possibly is going to be Wonder Woman, and everything's next year. Everything's kind of like mid to late next year. And then after that, like the next year. So,
yeah. Oh, man. What I do like about these new dates is that they've only been moved a few months from their original dates. Because I'm a big Marvel fan. And Marvel ended up moving a lot of their movies like almost a year out from the original release date. And so, I mean, I think this is a good move on Warner Brothers' behalf by only delaying the release by like a few months. From June to October, July to June. Hold on. Wait a minute.
Some of these are going a whole... yeah, dude.
Hold on. July 1st. Hold on. Hold on.
Yeah, there's one. The Flash
Isaac put down here July 1st, 2022 to June 3rd, 2022.
Yeah, that's what...
It's gonna be brought up a month?
Yeah, that's what fandom said. I double and triple checked that too. And it could be a typo in fandom. Maybe they were supposed to put 2023 and maybe push it back a whole year, but I thought the same thing.
Well, you know, everybody on the Flash works super fast, so you never know.
You think they're moving their hands back and forth like super fast because that's the only way you run really fast?
No, they have to work fast because they're afraid of Ezra Miller choking them out and slamming them into the ground.
Oh no! So topical, so topical. I love it. All right, let's move on. So Rogue One. Apparently, there's going to be a Rogue One TV show on Disney Plus, which I did not know about. I was super excited for it, but they've got Andy. You correct me. Stellan Skarsgård, which I got a picture of him right there in the in the run sheet there. The guy from
He's
Thor.
Dr. Eric from Thor and Avengers. He's the Norwegian professor.
Yep, absolutely.
That goes crazy.
Heroic.
Yeah, he's got that heroic pose. That's from Thor, I believe. So I really liked Rogue One. I really enjoyed it. So get some good quality actors in there, get a good story, and I'm in.
Man, they need to quit farting around. All right, they need to quit farting around. Go cast somebody to play Darth Vader and give me a freaking Darth Vader show already. All right, give me a Darth Vader show. Give me a show where he's going out into the galaxy, finding Jedis that are still alive to execute Order 66 on them.
Hey, that's dark.
That would be awesome.
That would be really cool, right?
But then who's the good guy?
We make another season.
But who's the good guy? Who's going to be the guy that takes on Darth Vader?
You don't have a good guy.
The Mandalorian.
It's the show's about him and his struggle and his fight between giving into the dark side and giving in not letting himself fall back into the light.
Let's call him up. Let's call up Mr. Disney.
Hey,
let's call up Mr. Disney himself and be like, Senor Disney, a moment of your time, please, while you drink your water in the restaurant. I'm gonna pitch you this show really quick.
And if you were to do that show with Darth Vader, guess what you can have? You can have a crossover with the Obi-Wan movie, to where they encounter each other at some point or another.
And then they do that thing where they do the thing and then they go, huh! And then they and then they fly back.
Give this man a raise.
Dude,
too many good ideas.
Yeah, so many good ideas, Andy.
Mm-hmm.
So many.
And then and then some episodes maybe they have Darth Maul in the mix.
What? Because he's still alive. Obviously,
he's still alive.
Obviously, and then the girl from Solo, she's apparently bad guy that they teased and then never went anywhere. Let's bring her
There's
back.
so much you could do aside from a Rogue One TV show.
In addition to that, we want the Rogue One show.
We want the Rogue One show?
I want the Rogue One show.
Okay, I guess I want the Rogue One show too.
I want it. I want it. I want more. All the stuff you're telling me, we want more. And he says, no, we don't need more. I didn't know I needed a Rogue One movie. And then they came out and it was really good.
There's some sort of, I think it's, I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I know because I'm not an expert. I don't know. But anyways, what else we got on this
Moving
for
on.
kids?
Okay, so when we were talking about these star-studded cast, there's a new movie coming out called Dune. It's a remake from an 80s movie. It's one of those movies, and we're not experts. My memory's foggy on this. I just remember Dune being ridiculously long. It might be like 6 hours. Back in the day, when it wasn't a TV series, back in the day, it was like a movie. And they made a movie 6 hours, and people did not want to watch it because it was obviously 6 hours. So they're looking to remake this movie. It's got Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, Oscar Isaacs, Josh Brolin, Jason Momoa, Dave Bautista. This Stellan Skarsgård is also in it. Tons of people. The synopsis is basically like there's this one planet that makes this thing called the spice, and that one planet produces this essential spice, is what they call it, that is used to make space navigation possible. So whoever controls the planet basically controls the universe, because without it, you can't travel around the universe. And they've released some pictures in here, and it looks pretty good. It looks
very sci-fi.
Yeah.
And but also kind of like dystopian.
Yes.
Like a dystopian wasteland.
Yes.
Also.
Yes.
So.
And the whole planet apparently is like a mining planet. So it's like there's nothing there other than this essential spice. And, you know, Oscar Isaacs in this picture looks really, really mean. And then, like, right behind him, I was like, hey, is that Josh Brolin? I'm like, yep, Josh Brolin is in this. And then, like, Jason Momoa, skinny Jason Momoa from, like, 1990 is in here with, like, a sword. I'm like, all right, I don't know.
I've seen the picture of quote unquote skinny Jason Momoa. I think he's just crouching down with a loose shirt.
You think that's what it is?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's still ripped underneath that loose shirt.
Hey, you can be skinny and ripped.
I don't know about you guys, but this kind of reminds me of Star Wars in a way.
Yes, it's got that vibe. It's got a Star Wars vibe to it. Absolutely.
Now, you didn't include this in here, but this is based off of a book that also had a movie in the 80s. And this movie is very popular, but like it's like a cult classic pretty much. It only has its like small following. I had never heard it before, but I do know that there was a movie with the guy. What's his name? He was in Twin Peaks.
Wasn't it like 6 hours?
Yeah, it was really long. Did you put that in here?
No, but I totally said it.
Oh, did you really? Oh. Guess what, dude? I'm not a professional. All right, I'm not a psychiatrist to be listening to you all the time. I got caught up with my screen here, and because the thing. All right, I'm looking at an iPad.
So this is what happened. Andy saw Jason Momoa, and he was like, "Wait," and then totally just completely lost all train of thought. Which happens. It happens.
No, this is what I'm trying to tell you. What happened? What happened was I got this iPad out, and I accidentally closed the screen where we have our run sheet, and so I was trying to get it back up. And when I got it back up, it looked differently. So I was trying to get it back to the way it looked before. And so I kind of zoned out.
We're gonna go with that. Let's move on though to what we kind of discussed with Joel before. We really wanted to have Joel on our podcast because Joel is like our resident Batman expert. He's a specialist
because none of us are experts here,
except for Joel. He's a specialist. No. Okay, if you look at his card, it says Joel Specialist right there, right under it, and I guess what kind of spurred the conversation was we got Matt Reeves coming out with the new Batman, and in an interview that he had with Nerdist, he kind of let some nuggets fly about what could possibly be going on with this new Batman. Andy, you wanna give us a little hit on what happened in that Nerdist interview?
Yeah. So in the interview, Matt Reeves said, "Oh, I'm gonna pitch the version of Batman that I would do, which is going to have to be a humanist bent, and who knows if they'll have interest. If they don't, then I won't do it, and that'll be okay." I was lucky that they said yes.
Yeah, and he's really talking about like the emotional core of the movie. And I mean, how do we feel about that? Like an emotional Batman.
I mean, that's pretty much what Warner Brothers and DC has failed to do, even though they've been trying with Superman. They've been trying to break through of it just being a comic book movie to where you can empathize and sympathize with the character. Because, I mean, Christopher Nolan kind of hit the nail on the head with his movies. You know, you felt for Batman in those movies. You felt the struggle that he was feeling.
Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. I was about to say, sounds like he's explaining the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. Because his was very humanist bent, like he said here.
Yeah, but I guess the way I kind of thought it was like two people, and he's been quoted modeling this movie after these two people, which was the Tim Burton Batman and the Christopher Nolan Batman. And the Tim Burton Batman had a very humanistic approach to it. I mean, yeah, it was set in that time period. It was kind of a weird futuristic, but not so futuristic kind of time. Everything that happened with that Batman was, in my mind, grounded. No matter how ridiculous it was, of a man in a bat suit with a car that spews fire out of it, that one was somewhat grounded in its ridiculousness. Like the tech,
like it wasn't over the top,
right? Which the other Batman movies were totally over the top, and then it comes into something maybe more grounded. And I kind of like the idea of it being focused on storytelling, and you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Give me a really great story and let the actors fly with it. Sometimes give me good visuals and I can forgive a bad storyline, but other times I can't do that.
And that's a lot of what Warner Brothers has failed at doing, and what Marvel has really succeeded at. Pretty much Marvel, what they perfected was the ability to stick to the source material, but also make it realistic.
So Joel, how do you feel about that? Like in the success of Marvel, like what Andy's talking about, and then you've got DC coming in, does this just get your hopes really high and then you're going to be let down again? Or do you see these DC movies and you're like, yeah, they weren't that bad. It was okay.
I'm always hoping for the best for all these comic movies. But with Marvel, I feel like you have these comic book nerds that are in charge and they're like, no, we need to stick to the material. But with Warner Brothers, you have people that have good input and know about all their DC material, but then the higher ups are like, no, we want money real quick. So let's just do everything as quick as possible and get revenue in.
Like Justice League? They really pushed Justice League to be out, and I tried watching it the other day and I really couldn't. Like without I think I watched it like on TNN or TNT or something. TNN, listen to me. I think I watched it on TNT or something, and it wasn't the high definition graphics that I remember seeing. And I was like, man, this is not very good at all. Like you take the graphics out of it, you're just like, this is not good.
And that's one of the biggest hangups that I've had with DC is that whenever they first started, they were strictly trying to compete with the amount of characters that Marvel had in their cinematic universe. The only problem was Marvel spent 10 years building that cast and the characters.
It wasn't even their A-list.
Yeah, that's the thing. It wasn't even their A-list. I didn't know when Iron Man came out. I had no idea what Iron Man was about. I didn't know who Iron Man was. I didn't know who Tony Stark was. The big heavy hitters that I knew about were Spider-Man, X-Men, Hulk, and a little bit of Fantastic Four. But those were the main characters that I was very familiar with. The fact that they were able to get us to be interested in Hawkeye and Black Widow and Scarlet Witch.
Well, and, I always liked Hawkeye because I don't remember what video game it was, but there was a video game with Hawkeye. He was purple in the suit and threw arrows, and I just remember loving that video game. So that was me and Hawkeye would go way back.
But yeah, I mean, that Warner Brothers, they pushed everything out without establishing the universe and establishing the story. And if you think about it, they just started casting people like crazy without having any idea of how to use them. Like, think of all the extra characters that we have no plans for yet. What's his name?
Jason
Slade Wilson. What's his name? Deadshot. No. Deathstroke?
Oh, yeah, you're talking about John Maggiano guy that just showed up in a movie and then never again?
Yeah. You have Lex Luthor. You have who else? You have that
Martian
Michael
Manhunter.
Shannon.
Martian Manhunter. He's huge too in the DC universe, right, Joel?
Oh yeah, he's big.
He's one of the founding members of, or not founding members, but he's a essential member of the Justice League.
Yep, he is.
So I mean,
so Joel, if we're looking at like what Andy's talking about, this whole cacophony of different people, just all of this stuff that's going on, and you see this movie, how do you feel like in relation to maybe something like Joker? Like, do you want this to be like a standalone film, or do you want this to be like a part of the main universe kind of thing?
In my opinion, I think their main universe is gone. They should just stick with original storylines. As much as I would love to see everybody come together, it seems like their own storylines, that's how they make better movies. So I hope it's its own thing, like Christian Bale and his Batman universe, because that was legit.
But see, I kind of say that, to me, that Batman was only successful because of Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
Like,
but look at all the actors though.
But you don't get those actors without Christopher Nolan coming in and saying, this is what we're gonna do. Yeah. And for him to say, let's get Heath Ledger and let's let him go. Like let's kind of put him in a room and let him work this out, and let's play off of each other, and he's going to direct him to where he needs them to go. Like there aren't many directors that have that clout and that ability to bring in that type of audience. And the crazy thing right now is that to a certain extent, Marvel has all of that clout. They're not producing a storyline like what Christopher Nolan did, but they are producing stuff that people love. People instantly jump in and go forward. So I mean, I don't know.
I think they can still bring it together. They would have to do like a soft reboot, recast a lot of the Batman stuff. But they have to come together and think, what is our main storyline? What are we what's the, for lack of a better word, what's the end game?
Well, and what was the guy, Joel, in
what are we working towards,
In Justice League, they hinted at it, right? They actually gave you 2 shots of it, right? What could have been the bad guy. One of them was Steppenwolf, right?
The bad guy was Steppenwolf, right?
But then it was...
Are you talking about Darkseid?
Darkseid, that's what I'm talking about. So it was like Steppenwolf, and then they teased Darkseid in much in the same way that they did for the Avengers. Like, they worked up to the Avengers, and they said, here's Loki, but then all of a sudden you had somebody in the background. You really didn't know who it was. They tried to do the same bit, but it didn't really work well.
Did you see the Zack Snyder, like what he's been posting out, what he talks about it, like his
No.
version of everything?
No, go ahead.
The Zack Snyder, release the Snyder cut.
Right? I really hope he will.
You know what it is, Isaac. Come on. No te hagas.
No. I know, but I don't know what he said. What did he say?
I think if I remember correctly, he started way back in like the Man of Steel, and he literally had a story. Or no, he didn't do Man of Steel, did he?
I don't remember.
Yeah, he did.
I think he did.
Or he did?
We're not experts, Joel.
Yeah, we're not experts. So way back in the beginning, he had a plan for every single character and just to build it up all the way to the Justice League and even Justice League 2. And I even think he said something like Batman dies in the end or something like that. And so he had a plan, but it got axed.
Which Andy's point would be like, let's get Batman Beyond up in this joint. That would be awesome.
And not even Batman Beyond. I mean, if you did the whole Batman series right and started incorporating Dick Grayson, maybe Jason Todd, you get him in the mix. Maybe you get a Tim Drake in there as well. Maybe Drake? A Damian Wayne later down the line.
Drake?
You could have a great successful franchise alone with just the Bat family.
Yeah, you really could.
And I'm pretty much hoping that we're not going to get a Bat family movie or anything like that. I don't expect to see any of that. But what I'm really excited about is that we're not going to have to go through the cycle of, having to see his parents die, because from what I've heard, there's not going to be another origin story. I mean, we've had 4 different types of versions of this movie already. We don't need to know 4 different types
of pearls falling on the ground.
What if it's a flashback to the origin?
But see, that's okay. But I don't want to see, think about what Spider-Man did, right?
Which one? There's so many.
The most recent one.
Yeah, the most recent one.
I mean, they didn't show any of the Uncle Ben stuff, and with great power comes great responsibility. They kind of just sidestepped all of that. I was like, hey, you know the story already. You don't need to be told again.
Yeah, that was nice.
I kind of wanted to, see, Bonesaw. Let's get Bonesaw back.
Dude, Bonesaw's ready.
He's always ready, okay?
He only got
ready.
3 minutes with them, though.
Because that's all you need.
That's all you need.
3 minutes.
But so, yeah, that's what I'm really hoping to see out of it. And it's kind of making me excited to see like an early Batman. And I think that may even be where the story leads into, because what would a rookie vigilante, what would be his mistake? Would be letting up on his identity, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's kind of what they've been suggesting. They've suggested that this story is based off of Long Halloween, a comic book series called Long Halloween, and another comic book series called Hush.
Now, Joel, tell us about tell us about those, Joel.
So the Long Halloween, I remember, it's pretty much the upbringing of Two-Face in a different way. It's very interesting because it's very detective comic book, and so it shows Batman going through all his detective skills and trying to figure out a case. And the crimes that happen in that story are all based on holidays. So right off the bat, he thinks it's Calendar Man, which is like his go-to thing is kill someone or do something bad on a holiday.
Right.
And then so that's his guess. But it's more complicated than that. And it drags on, I think, a year or even more until the whole story wraps up. I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't read it or seen it on YouTube or something, but it's pretty interesting because it gives like a grounded version of what like the dark Gotham is. It's really interesting.
And that'd be a good story to be able to show off and kind of showcase his detective skills. Up until this point, we really haven't seen much of it, other than the whole scene of him and Alfred, Christian Bale, and who played Alfred? What's his name?
Zach Galifianakis.
Oh God, I hate your guts. No, the guy who played Alfred. You know who I'm talking about. They're in the makeshift bat cave, and they're scanning the fingerprint with the bullets and shooting them. That's pretty much the extent of the detective skills that we've seen from Batman up until this movie. So I mean, and he's called the greatest detective, the world's greatest detective, for a reason. So you have to show that he's the world's greatest detective, and I think we're going to see that. And that would be a great story to use for showcasing that. So, but what about Hush? What do we got with Hush, Joel?
So with Hush, the comic book is amazing, and then they recently did a movie. It's also very good, but I would definitely prefer the comic book version. But it's also Batman. He has to think a lot more. He has to use his detective skills to go through a whole bunch of villains to find out who this person Hush is. And so I think in the series, 2 or 3 times, he's like, oh, I know who it is. But then he's like, wait, no, it's not that one.
Michael Caine.
So he has to keep going. Could be Michael Caine. You never know.
So, so early on when we had this conversation, Joel was like, let's watch this movie, Hush. You got to watch it. You're going to really see some interesting things from the movie. You did tell us about that change that, happened between the ending of the movie and whatnot. Andy, what were your thoughts on the movie that Joel told us to watch?
Immediately, I thought, okay, yeah, I can see this being integrated with the live action movie coming out, just because it showcases a lot of his rogues catalog, and it has Bane. The movie that we watched, it has Bane, it has Poison Ivy, it's got Catwoman, it's got the Riddler, it's got Lex Luthor, Superman's in it for a little bit. I mean, so in this movie, what we've heard so far is that it's going to showcase a lot of the villains, and so far we've had Zoe Kravitz cast as Catwoman. We've seen that one guy from God, what's the name of that movie with Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal? Were they Prisoners?
I was going to say The Greatest Showman.
No. Prisoners. That guy is going to end up playing Riddler, and then they also casted Colin Farrell as Penguin.
Penguin, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we have a kind of a view of a lot of villains in one movie, like we haven't really seen before. I mean, we've only ever gotten maybe 2 at a time.
Yeah.
Before
2 at a time
this?
2 at a time in the heyday of the comic book movie Arnold Schwarzenegger thing, Poison Ivy, Uma Thurman, like that kind of thing. That was not that was not good.
No. But so yeah, that Hush, whenever I watched it, I was like, oh, this is how they're gonna do it. This is a way they could do it for sure.
Yeah, so
it would be nice.
I'm not really into watching the animated movies for Marvel or for DC, but one thing that I will say, Joel, to your recommendation on watching this movie was it had me locked in. Like in movies today do not do that for me. Like usually I'm playing on my phone, like I'm kind of paying attention, but not really. There's not much, I guess I'm just kind of paying, whatever. But unless I'm at a movie theater. But if I'm home, I'm kind of doing other things while watching it, paying attention. In this case, I was 100% locked in. And partly because of the origin story, like we really didn't get anything, and I wasn't familiar with any of the pre-movies that came before this, but you really just say, hey, here's Poison Ivy. This is what she's doing. Like you really don't get anything else other than the fact that that's Poison Ivy and she's doing stuff. Hey, here's the Riddler. He's doing stuff. Hey, in passing, you have Two-Face, and in passing, you have Penguin, and you've got the Joker and Harley Quinn, and all these people are already established and in this world. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it because it was just, this is what's going on in Gotham in this one storyline. And it was very, very, very interesting. Do we care to spoil what happened in this movie?
I mean, we would recommend that you watch this movie.
Yeah, it was good.
It's an animated movie, but it's got more of like an adult tone to it. It's not anything crazy to where you're gonna, feel bad about watching it afterwards. But it's more aimed towards adults than it is to kids, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. They have curse words in it too.
You're really missing out, Isaac, because a lot of the DC universe or animated universe movies are really good.
And they're better than the live action.
Yes, and that's what I was about to say. I was like, this movie had me so locked in that I was like, why can't live action movies be this way? It was, and it's such a short movie too. It's like an hour and 20 minutes, and I'm like, why couldn't we got an hour and 20 minutes to do this for real? Like let's make this happen. You can even
stretch it out more.
Let's stretch it out. Let's get an hour and 45. I mean, let's get this done, man.
I'm going to give you some more recommendations on some DC animated movies that I really enjoy that I think you should watch as well.
Okay. I will say this, though. The one that really, and I don't know if Joel will back me up on this, the one that I was like, nope, was Rainn Wilson as Lex Luthor.
Was that Rainn Wilson?
It was Rainn Wilson as Lex Luthor. And the only thing I could think about was when they're reading Threat Level Midnight and Dwight Schrute is Samuel L. Chang. Like, I just could not get the visual of Dwight reading it, and he kind of had like a similar inflection to Samuel L. Chang. Like, maybe, I don't know, but that's all I heard. And I was like, no, Samuel L. Chang, don't do it. Don't help Batman.
I had no idea. No? Like, this is shocking to me.
No. And I literally was like, that's Dwight Schrute, like, instantly. And I had to go to IMDb, and I was like, yep, that's him. I knew it from the beginning that was him.
You're an Office fan. That's how you knew it.
That's how I knew, man. That's how I knew. So, Joel, what do you see happening? Well, what do you see that could happen with the Matt Reeves influences from both Long Halloween and Hush? Like, how do you see the storyline going forward? Like, what's your prediction?
I'm interested because they can pull so much from these two storylines because they're similar in the ways how Batman just uses his detective skills and his communication with James Gordon. And one thing we forgot to talk about is I think they're also pulling a story from Batman Year One because of the set photos of Batman on his motorcycle and the that kind of look. It reminded me a lot of that comic Batman Year One.
Right.
And so, man, I think Matt Reeves knows what he's doing, but it's just wait and see if it comes out good.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to agree with that. It's a wait and see game. From your recommendation, though, I've really enjoyed Hush. It did kind of, and we kind of discussed like where it went different from the comics earlier. And we're not going to try to spoil anything, but it did go different from the comic book version than what happened in the actual thing. And we had a little bit of a difference of opinion here because I thoroughly enjoyed where the movie went with it. And, you know, you guys were saying, no, it would have been better if we would have done this. But with it more kind of slick more towards the comic book version. But for me, if it really focuses on the greatest detective, Hush didn't necessarily give me that in terms of greatest detective, other than him kind of just beating bad guys up to get to the next info kind of thing, which was fine. I kind of thought like if we can kind of get to where maybe an Arkham Asylum game kind of like, you know, where he's got that detective mode that, you know, maybe we kind of see, maybe what I would kind of like would be a Sherlock Holmes kind of moment. You know, like in Sherlock Holmes, right when the moment where everything slows down and he knows the degrees of the punch, the pounds per square inch, like he's thinking about all of that as it's happening in an instant. Like I would love for Batman to have that type of thing because for Batman, he is so smart. Like his superpower is not that he's rich. It's that he's ridiculously smart and he's got a kill shot for every single one of the superheroes if they all go bad, right? So I kind of need not only like Batfleck was coming out showing his brute strength. I'm interested to see what we have if we focus on someone who is just giving me your detectiveness and then giving me somebody who's just ridiculously smart.
You know, it would be hilarious if Batman comes out and says, "Elementary, my dear Alfred," and just starts going.
Yeah, and then it's like Robert Downey Jr. just kind of looking like, I would love that to be like this SNL bit where it's Robert Downey Jr. as Batman and then Dwight Schrute as Alfred or, you know, Lex Luthor or something. That would crack me up all the way.
That'd be hilarious.
Oh man. All right, so let's wrap this up, man. I mean, I think we've got some good things. Andy, do you have any final thoughts on the Batman? Like where you think it's going to go?
No, I mean, Joel pretty much summed it up. I'm excited to see what's going to happen, but that's just the thing. We got to wait to see what's going to happen. I trust what Matt Reeves is going to do with it. I think he's capable of producing and presenting a story that's going to be not only true to the comic book, but also, you know, something that's going to be appreciated on a mainstream level and a cinematic level. So I can't wait to see what's going to happen with that.
Yeah, and if we get something similar to in between Tim Burton and what Christopher Nolan did, if we get something in between there, I think we're going to have something enjoyable.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. All right, let's wrap this up, man. Andy, you want to take us home?
I can't think of anyone else to do it. So guess what? I want to thank you guys for listening and watching.
Hey.
Because not only are you going to be able to see this with your eyes, but you're also going to be able to listen in the regular podcast form. So thanks for joining us in whatever way you're watching or listening. And this has been a conversation we'd have anyway. Give us your feedback. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. And don't forget to follow us on all the social medias. We're on YouTube. We're on Instagram. We're on, what else are we on?
Live.
Those are it.
We're in quarantine.
We're in live. We're in quarantine. So, what else do you have to do other than to just try this out?
Right. And
I'd like to give it a shot.
Yeah. Thank Joel, man, our Batman expert, coming in, giving us the recommendations to what we need to watch.
I'm not an expert. We're just hair fans, conversations we'd have anyways.
I really enjoyed Hush so much. I really appreciate it. It kind of gives me, if it's anything close to that, man, thanks for pointing me in the right direction. So everybody, thanks Joel for being on with us. You did great.
It's an honor to be with you guys. You guys are gentlemen and scholars. You guys are great.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And
as a fan, I love your podcast. I listen to every episode. So that's why I'm here.
Guys,
we're gonna be more consistent. All right? We'll try with this setup here.
This visual
gives me hope. It gives me hope for something in the future.
Yeah, it gives us more hope. We'll have to edit it and get it going, but it sounds good, man. I appreciate you guys for coming on. This is it.
All right. Hey, guess what? Yeah, next episode, I don't know what we're gonna do.
We'll figure it out.
But we're gonna do it.
Yeah, we're gonna do it.
And hopefully you're there for it. For now though, I'm Andy.
I'll be tuning in for sure.
Yeah, that's right. Andy?
Yeah.
I'm Chunk, and this is
I'm Joel.
Peace. See y'all later.
Later. Bye.